In the news this week, facing the ninth wave of COVID, an exclusive opinion poll is underway as Western Australians share their views on whether they are well prepared before Christmas.
Also tonight, 300 kilometres and counting. Aishwarya's father completes an epic walking journey in memory of his daughter.
Coldplay stunts. Chris Martin invites lucky fan on stage.
Good times with special guests. WAMN News' end of the year sundowner coming next Friday. And later, Dr. Andrew Miller's comment.
This is The Evening News with Ivan Loom and Maliva Thorne.
Good evening. An exclusive WAMN News Poll is underway right now seeking your views on whether you're ready for the ninth wave of COVID. The question is, with another wave of COVID hitting just before Christmas, do you believe you are well prepared against the virus? So far, less than half of the participants believe they are ready, and almost 60% says no, they are concerned. The opinion poll will continue to next Friday. Australian Medical Association WA President Michael Page joins us exclusively to discuss the initial results. Doctor, thanks for being here. When the poll first started, viewers who are confident have the upper hand, but now they've been overtaken. What do you think?
Look, I'm not surprised. There's a lot of uncertainty around with COVID. We are, as you know, in the middle of a pretty big wave of COVID. The wastewater testing clearly tells us that. Anecdote tells us that. Numbers of patients sick in hospital with COVID tells us that. So people might feel unprepared because they haven't had their booster recently. Some people are aware that the current booster probably covers the current circulating strains of COVID less well than the booster vaccination that we're expecting to hopefully see in the coming weeks, which is more sort of tailor-made for current circulating strains. A lot of people have run out of RAT tests. It's a bit harder to get a PCR test than it used to be. A lot of RAT tests have expired. So it doesn't surprise me that people feel unprepared. There's some uncertainty around mask wearing. Quite clearly the evidence is that masks are protective against COVID, and if you've got COVID and you're not aware of it, then they'll stop you spreading it to other people. So certainly if people are concerned, they should wear masks. They should make sure they're up to date with vaccination.
Although the final results won't be in until next week, do you believe the number of Western Australians who are not well prepared will continue to dominate?
I think it will depend a little bit on what happens over the next week with respect to the current wave of COVID. I think people's feeling of unpreparedness reflects an underlying level of anxiety about where we are going with COVID at the moment. We know that there's a lot of it around, but we'll probably know in another week whether the trend is continuing to go up or perhaps whether the current wave is abating ahead of Christmas. But certainly with large Christmas gatherings coming up, with the Coldplay concerts that we're seeing this weekend, there is a chance that the current wave of COVID will continue to go up. But my message is that people shouldn't feel unduly anxious about COVID. Take the steps needed to protect yourself from COVID. It is that the current circulating strains are not as dangerous as some of the earliest strains, and there are things that you can do to protect yourself and to protect those around you. So I'd really just encourage people to think of it as something that we need to be aware of. It is with us forever now. We have COVID in our community forever. We'll have different waves. We'll have people getting sick. We'll have some people unfortunately dying from COVID ongoingly, just as we do from many other infectious diseases in the community. So, COVID is not over, just as influenza is not over, sexually transmitted infections are not over. So many types of infections we live with, and we take steps to protect ourselves from them, and COVID should be, in one sense, no different.
As mentioned earlier, this opinion poll will continue until Friday. We'll provide comprehensive details on the WAMN Extra News Club. Dr. Page, we look forward to catch up with you next week on this program to discuss the final polling results. See you then.
Look forward to it.
Aishwarya's father, Ashraf Chavatapara, has completed a 300-kilometre walk to raise money in his daughter's honour. The Morley father says this walk is just the beginning and that the family have bigger plans to be sure a tragedy like their daughter's never happens again. Paige Reid reports.
After months of planning and support, it all came to a proud end on Thursday, 300 kilometres away from home. It has been almost 3 years since 7-year-old Aishwarya Aswath lost her life to sepsis at Perth Children's Hospital, and her parents are showing no signs of letting her story die. Now in the family's newest fundraiser to raise awareness for their daughter's cause, Aishwarya's father Aswath has walked from Morley to Margaret River.
One of the biggest challenges that I faced in this whole journey, walking long distance, is walking uphill. It takes a lot of energy. But there is a positive. I have met some amazing people in this journey.
Ashworth walked 312 kilometres in hopes of raising $400,000 towards their goal and towards the Aishwarya Foundation. During their journey, their joyful little girl never left them, with Aishwarya always on their mind.
If you're going to have someone on your side wanting to do this, you would go and pick Ashworth because he is dedicated to the memory of his daughter, and he was absolutely determined on her behalf to make sure that he got there.
The family have said this is the first of many fundraisers to bring awareness to Aishwarya and her story.
I think she'll be proud and she'll be happy that we're doing something to honor.
Paige Reid, WAMN News.
And here are other top stories making news in Perth and WA this weekend.
It's been a sensational weekend in Perth as Coldplay's only concert in Australia attracted local, national and international tourists into Optus Stadium. It was a lucky day for Jaslyn when Coldplay's main singer Chris Martin invited her onto the stage during the concert. Jaslyn, who waved a fan-made banner reading "I beat cancer to be here," was picked by Chris. Audiences in the stadium were in awe after he chose her, inviting her to sit beside him at an electric piano as he performs. During the concert, Chris thanked Western Australia for attending his event with a special song created on the spot.
But my life would have been a total failure if I'd never seen Western Australia.
Hi there. Are you looking for a new home or want to refinance your car mortgage to get a better rate? At AA Finance Solutions, we have the expertise and knowledge to help you to find the right loan for your needs and budgets. Contact us today. Let us help you to make your home ownership dream a reality.
AA Finance Solutions, your local mortgage broker.
Mask wearing will become mandatory in WA's public hospitals starting Monday as the number of COVID cases skyrockets ahead of Christmas. Beginning next Monday, all medical staff and patients in public hospitals must wear surgical masks within high-risk clinical areas. These areas include hematology, oncology, organ transplant, renal dialysis, intensive care units, and when they are near vulnerable patients. Medical staff handling suspected or confirmed COVID-19 cases will use P2 and N95 masks following the government's infection prevention and control measures. WA Chief Health Officer Andy Robertson highlighted that cases have been steadily rising since September this year due to the Omicron XBB variant EG5. The government recommends that the visitors and staff wear surgical masks within public hospital clinical areas, and individuals sick with COVID are advised to stay at home.
WAMN News is excited to announce the 2023 Sundowner event set to take place next Friday at 5 p.m. in North Perth's Multicultural House. This year we have special speakers and a fantastic opportunity to socialise with the WAMN News team and fellow supporters. Rockingham by-election candidate and outgoing Deputy Mayor Hayley Edwards, along with veteran political commentator Peter Kennedy, will be speaking. Ms Edwards will focus her speech on the elements of what makes a good politician, while Mr Kennedy will present his take on how next year's political agenda will shape the state and federal elections. Both guests will also emphasise the importance of independent local news media and its impact on shaping conversations and decisions among voters. There are also opportunities to meet and socialise with the WAMN News team at the event. Tickets can be purchased at the door or on our news website, wamnnews.com.au.
A significant number of communities across Western Australia are celebrating this week as the Governor is poised to repeal the Cook Government's contentious Aboriginal Cultural Land Heritage Act. After years of debate, controversy, protest and political backdown during the Voice to Parliament referendum, the new act, which was passed earlier this year, was repealed due to deep concerns and unpopularity. Opposition leader and Nationals leader Shane Love hails this outcome as a testament to the power of the people. marking a triumph following repeated calls for change.
The momentum that was gained from that petition, and then from all the reports that came through, the brave and courageous reports, the people going to the forums, presenting their views, standing up for their rights and standing up for common sense, that is really what has changed this process. That has turned around this Act of Parliament, which was completely not fit for purpose. It was not going to deliver an outcome for Aboriginal people. It is sad for a lot of people who had their expectations set, and we've seen an out-of-touch government do that so many times, but it is also a victory for common sense.
As National Recycling Week kicks off, the WA government has announced that free Perth shopping centres will have containers for change self-serve kiosks. The first free kiosks will be located in the Whitfords, Kingsway and Greenwood shopping centres, where 20 kiosks will be created over the next few months in the state. The government says these new kiosks are meant to make access to containers for change better. The Environment Minister, Rhys Whitby, knew that the scheme needed to be easy for people to take part in. Since October 2020, when Containers for Change began in Western Australia, the amount of containers the state has recycled is over 2.6 billion.
And now here's Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. Well, the 9th COVID wave is well underway in Australia now, unfortunately, in time for Christmas, and we're seeing a lot of disease across the country, which is affecting many people as they try to go about their business. It's also increasing the rate of admission of people to hospital with COVID and the complication of other disease, things like diabetes and heart attacks and strokes and dementia, all being complicated by the unmitigated spread of this through our community. Now it's affecting our aged care facilities, with hundreds of outbreaks around the country affecting thousands of people, and unfortunately it's starting to reduce our overall life expectancy, with people dying earlier than expected. This is government policy now that we will tolerate this impact on our community, and whether or not that's wise, I suppose people will have their own view about it. But as individuals, we can certainly avoid some of the inconvenience of it by protecting ourselves in a manner that doesn't affect our lives too much, simply by wearing masks when in public, in indoor crowded places, trying to avoid situations where we might be around other people who are sick by avoiding them at work, or having policies in our workplaces which prevent people with symptoms from being there, and generally just being aware of the need to breathe clean air whenever we possibly can. And that, as you can imagine, has all sorts of health benefits. Being up to date with COVID boosters is a very good idea for the population. Unfortunately, our government is still very slow at getting the newest vaccines, as they have been from the very start of the vaccine program. It seems to have been with some reluctance almost that they've been rolling these out, and they're still not giving them to kids under 5, even though there's even more fresh studies that have come out showing just how much that group of kids do spread disease. Something that everyone who's ever had a child or has been around a child would have been able to tell you before any of this got underway. Part of this reluctance may have been a misguided view that perhaps if we let this disease spread, then it will just rip through the population and that'll be the end of it. The famous Scott Morrison push through to the other side technique. Unfortunately, what we know is on the other side is more and more waves of disease as time goes by. So just some sensible precautions, being careful, particularly around people who have immune problems, people who might be on chemo, or people who might have had organ transplant and so on, so that they can enjoy participating in our society and enriching our society, as those people always do. I think we can still get on with our lives, still enjoy our lives, but we can't do it whilst ignoring an entire class of disease, as seems to be part of the public health approach to this at the moment. So try to breathe clean air. Wear a mask out of consideration for yourself and others on public transport, when flying on an aeroplane, except when you need to have something to eat and drink. And generally, if you do have symptoms, please get a rat test. Consider antivirals if you're in the age group that those are useful for. Your doctor will be able to advise you on that. And stay safe out there, because the government sure is not stepping up to the plate in terms of preventing this spreading through our community. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Doctor. And speaking of the Sundowner, that should be an exciting event. What are your thoughts, Ivan?
Lots of hard work went into it, and of course we look forward to see you there. Haley was going to be there, Peter Candy is going to be there. There'll be some very interesting discussions, and of course food category. Of course you get to meet us as well. So look forward to see you there, and don't forget to RSVP on our news website wamnnews.com.au.
And now here's Leo Palisi with what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thanks, guys. On 6 News, schools killed and hundreds reportedly injured after Israeli strikes on 2 schools in Gaza. Corridors filled with solid waste. The WHO says Al Shifa Hospital has essentially stopped functioning as a medical facility. And Labor re-elected in Dan Andrews' former seat of Mulgrave despite a swing away from them of more than 10%. Watch live on our YouTube channel and our website, 6newsau.com.
Thanks, Leo. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday and Friday on our Sundowner event.
Thanks for watching.